What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Humble Painting. Some tips and tricks for you guys that are just learning, or just for anybody who wants some knowledge on painting the right way, or as far as I've learned, the right way. And obviously, everybody has a different way of doing things, so by all means, if you have a better way, then feel free to let me know, and I'll gladly look into that. And I know everybody has their own style. This is just the way I do it. I'll be showing you guys how to do a pearl job on this one for people who aren't too familiar with pearl coat. So first, what you see me doing here is just blowing and tacking. Right now my panel is prepped, sanded with 400 grit with a DA. The primer section right there, as you can see, is feathered out. I'm just blowing air. I blow with about the same, a little higher pressure than I would when I clear coat. Reason being is because if you blow with a higher pressure than when you clear coat, chances are you're going to blow out any of the dust that would come flying out on you when you clear coat. So it's a good idea to just get that panel nice and dust free. Now, before I did this, I didn't really record it. I waxed and greased, removed the whole panel. You want to make sure it's clean before any paint goes on there. That's very important. So first coat is obviously just the base coat, just white. I always do my edges first. The edges, they seem to get overlooked, and a lot of times you'll finish a job and you'll be like, oh crap, I missed that edge and it's transparent. So I try to whack the edge first, get it out of the way. As you can see, there's a little burn through there. It's OEM paint. If you really wanted to, you could seal it. That would be the proper way to make sure that you get full adhesion. If it was down to bare metal, you would spray some etch primer on there and then throw some 2K sealer on it, and then go ahead and just continue on with your base. But this is a DeVilbiss Pro Light with a 1.4 mil tip, TE20 air cap at about 18 psi. And yeah, this is just the ground coat white. This is off of a Ford. The color code is UG. Like I said before, it's a pearl coat color. And yeah, so the main thing is that you want to color match first. So as you can see, I always do a few spray outs. You always want to make sure that your flake is correct. A lot of times with pearl colors, you're gonna notice it's hard to match. So the easiest way I found to match, especially if you're butt matching like a trunk or a hood or something like that, a lot of times the ground coat is the one that plays the most factor in determining what the overall color will look like. The ground coat moves it the most, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying not to tint your mid coat, because that is definitely crucial too. However, the base is usually the heavy mover. So in this case, it was a little off, and it just so happened that it wasn't the ground coat, it was the pearl coat. So I just added a little bit of black, a little bit of paint additive, and you see me here just dumping it on the counter, which you should not do. That is wax and grease remover. I'm just trying to emulate the look of the clear so I can see the sparkle in the color chip. I know you guys can't see it because my light is blocking your entire view of it. Sorry about my selfishness there. So yeah, and then when you're checking color, if you have a light that has an adjustable Kelvin rating on it, you're gonna want to adjust it to about 4,500 to 5,000. That's about the regular average of sun. Now there, you just saw me flip those over. On my color chips, what I do is I save them, and I'm gonna clear coat these and add them to my rack. And on the back of that first card, you saw a sticker, which was the formula, the actual one off the computer. And then the second chip is the one that I had tinted. So outside, I wrote down how many grams I put in per pint, or however much you're mixing. And I put in, how many coats of pearl. And that way you have a go-to the next time. You've got a few variances in this color, and your car rolls up and it's a no-brainer instead of trying to have to guess from scratch each time. So here we go, we're laying on a second coat of base, going through. Oh, and back to the Kelvin rating. So Kelvin is it's a temperature color rating essentially. You'll see it a lot in like HID headlights and things like that. So 4500 to 5000 K is closest to natural sunlight. So I try to set it at that for my initial color match. And then when I am, before I clear coat, I always double check my chip to the actual panel to make sure that the color on the chip was sprayed the same way that I sprayed my panel, which is also important, especially if you're spraying metallics, because you can drop your pressure, or the booth pressure might be different from where you sprayed your chip, or there could be any number of factors, but you just want to keep basically the same technique that you spray your panel with on your color chip, and just do as best you can to match, because it even helps if you're blending. If you're blending, the closer you are, the easier time you're gonna have throwing that blend. So here I am getting ready to spray the first coat of pearl. This is Sodajet BRP 5000. I know a lot of guys like to use this gun for clear coat, which is just fine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. You just want to make sure that you're comfortable with whatever setup you have. There is no such thing as a base coat gun or a clear coat gun. Even if it says base or clear on the gun, that's simply just not the case. Sure, you can designate your own guns for base or clear, but to each his own, I've shot the DV1 clear gun using base, and it wasn't perfect. I didn't really care for it, to tell you the truth. But I've also shot the Supernova LS, the WS, the gold, with base coat, and I've shot the LS, the green, with clear coat, and it really doesn't make a difference. It's just as long as you can get that panel looking nice and you get commercially acceptable results. We're going for an OEM finish. We're not trying to lay glass. Unless you are trying to lay glass and you're doing some custom job, then by all means just do whatever it takes, or whatever. You're probably far past anything I'm teaching you right now anyway. So that being said, on to our second coat. For me, this was a 2-coat pearl process. This is the second coat of pearl going on right now. About 14 to 18 psi. This gun is really good at low pressures. That's why I like it. Soda can atomize really well, and that's another thing I like about Iwata too. Is Iwata, even though they're HVLP, they can atomize at such a low pressure, like insanely low, and it's really good when you're in a cross flow instead of a downdraft, because you're gonna kick up excuse me, you're gonna kick up a lot less trash this way, and it comes in handy when you're clear coating. Now there's a lot of tricks that guys use. They'll wet the ground, you can do all kinds of other things too to eliminate dust, which I'll do occasionally if I'm trying to get like a perfect job, that nobody's gonna be cutting and buffing, or doesn't feel like it. Usually it's on my own car because I don't feel like cutting and buffing, but everything we paint here gets cut and buffed anyway. So I just try to think of the next guy as everyone should. Just remember, when the body guy gives it to you, you want it to be good, and when you get it to your buffing guy, you want to make sure that it's as good as you can get it. So here I am. I'm going to match my chip that I have to the panel now. I can't remember if this is yeah, that's the actual color, I believe. So I can't really tell. I think I'm going to put some wax and grease remover on it, shine the light, see how it looks at a few different angles. And I believe this is, yeah, this is the first variant without being tinted. It's a little dark and pink. So yeah, yeah, there we go. I'm gonna get the wax and grease remover to emulate some clear coat. There's a few sprays out there that can do it too, you know, but wax and grease remover will do just fine. And you get to see that, you know, that sparkle. That's what you're really looking for, you know, just sparkle and of course the color. So now I've got my light turned down to about 35K. That's a more yellowy light. Only reason being is that it's easier for my eye to see the different hues and the saturation, the flop, the size of the flake, the amount of flake. All that stuff plays a huge part in color matching. And like I said before, you get a good color match. And you know, I don't recommend butt shotting. I always say blend is your friend. And the more often that you can blend, if you can blend the panel, do it, you know. I mean, bumpers, hoods, deck lids, things like that, 9 times out of 10 I'll just butt it up, because I mean, you know, you can usually get it relatively close with your knowledge of the color wheel and your you know, your color wrap, depending on what line you're using. I'm sure you're familiar with all your toners and what blue will make it flip green, or which blue will turn it red, or you know, whichever way you've got to go. So with that in mind, just remember, blend is your friend, but always keep it simple too, you know. Don't overthink it. If you're having too hard of a time and you're allotted time for blending a panel, then hey, just prep the panel and blend it. If you can't get it, don't fight it. You're just gonna end up losing 9 times out of 10. So I tack that down, getting it ready for clear coat now. There's a little piece of black fuzz in there because I'm not wearing my suit. Trying to get that out with the tape. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Got it? Oh, not yet. Gotta get it. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. And yeah, I prefer this method over picking it out. Some guys use like a dirt pick, but I don't do that because I've had some bad experiences and it tends to mar the base coat, which I can't stand. A lot of times it works well in clear coat, but I also use the same method in clear. If I get something stuck in clear, I'll grab a piece of tape. I'll wrap the tape backwards. I'll stick it, and then I'll just quickly shoot a little bit of clear over the spot that I just dug out. So this looks like a Tecna primer, however it's been modified. It is modified with a 1.3 tip. It's the same exact thing as a GTI Pro Light. The Tecna base coat and the GTI Pro Light have the same part number on the gun body. The baffles are the same. Everything is exactly the same except for the nozzle, the needle, and the fluid tip. And you swap those out, you got yourself a GTI Pro Light. So when I bought this gun, I was like, you know what? It's a brand new gun. I'm just going to use it as my clear gun, switch out the guts, put them in one of my older Pro Lights, and then that way I'll have a brand new gun. So yeah, this is my first coat of clear. medium wet. You know, you don't want to lay it on too heavy on the first coat. I like to use the first coat as kind of like a grip coat. The second coat, I like to go slow down a little bit, and then that way you get, you know, a little better flow out. I'm not saying lay it on dry, but you definitely want to just, you know, you don't want to pump it as much, because the surface, depending on what kind of a panel you're painting, or, you know, say you're doing a blend and half the door is only sanded and there's no color, it's going to be a little more slick. So on that first coat, just kind of lay it down a little lighter than you would on the second. And remember, follow your contours. And I use about 75% overlap. That's just me. Everybody paints different, and I understand that, and that's all you, to each his own. So okay, first clear coat down. Now we're just gonna wait for some flash, and then just read your TDS sheets for your particular clear coat, whatever your flash time is. That's what you're gonna want to go by. So now obviously there's no turning back from here, but me, I'm always super skeptical, so I always like triple check, like, oh, okay, is that color still the same? And it looked good to me, so carry on. Okay, hose. Now I'm spraying this clear coat at about 25 pounds. It's G27779S, I believe, from Chromax. It's kind of a thinner clear. I believe it's medium solids. It's not my favorite clear, I'm not gonna lie. I prefer high solids clears. They're a lot better, not just quality wise, but in my experience, they're easier to spray. They're a little thicker, and they take a little bit more pressure to atomize properly, but they lay down and they flow out, and that's what I like about it. Especially Standox 1560 or PPG DC 3000 or 4000, depending on the size of the job. Those are both great clears, but man, PPG stinks. Like, I mean stinks. It's smelly clear. This stuff actually smells pretty sweet. Smells like candy. But you should have your mask on anyway. So, just saying. Alright, so second clear. Put it on a little bit heavier. Not too heavy. You don't wanna be chasing waterfalls. But yep. So there we go. We got 2 coats of clear now, and that's our pearl job. Just checking it now, make sure it's all even. And what I usually do immediately after here is I will pull back the tape and the paper and all that stuff, but next time. You guys take care.